Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Bizabizow reaction. And this is fixing more Funko FNAF plushies, FNAF 2. So yeah, my reaction to the first video in this seemingly rather long series that they've been making has gone off pretty well, and a lot of people wanted to see me continue it and do more of the videos in the playlist. So here I am. And some of the things I was told was that, one, apparently Funko isn't even in, the business of making FNAF merch anymore, which, I mean, again, officially, I'm very happy for, all the, because of just how badly they did it. And apparently the company that made the original plushies that Biz was talking about on end about how good they were. Apparently they still make official merch, which is again very good. And I still want to get my hands on it. It's just a question of money, isn't it? Don't really have anything else to add on to this besides the. Well, I mean, there's going to be another plushie based on an endoskeleton, Endo 02. Then there's going to be the puppet one, which, that's going to be really spindly and skinny just because, the puppet. But yeah, I'm both excited to see what they do with their designs and also just to see how bad the official designs for the real life plushies actually did, because apparently I was told they get worse. So yeah, let's actually get this thing started. So yeah, of course, as always, where's the videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video lead to my Let's Play of the day. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because almost 3/4 of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and I'd very much like that to change, because my next big goal is hopefully at 6,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
And we're back. I can't express how absolutely dumbfounded I was at the amount of attention the first video got. Let's just say that I wasn't exactly guaranteeing that anyone would be jumping at the chance to listen to this girl drone on about the inaccuracies of character-based plush toys for a good 20 minutes or so. But hey, y'all really want to see more. I mean, I've gotten more "when's part 2s" spammed at me than I can count on 20 hands and a foot. But for real, you guys can chill out on that. If you want. That aside, the amount of positive feedback and genuine excitement I've gotten from y'all really means a lot. Thanks for giving me the chance to ramble about this stuff even more. Before we get into the meat of it, I need to talk seriously about part 1. I made some stupid, highly problematic mistakes, and I just want to clear the air and apologize for them.
What?
Here it is. I'm sorry for saying that this plush was based off of FNAF World's cupcake. So, as many of you have pointed out to me in the comments, Funko's cupcake plush is actually based off of Toy Chica's cupcake from FNAF 2, hence the light blue eyes and candle stripes, and of course, no teeth. How did I flub that up? I don't know. I think the bimbo gas leakage in my house is finally hit the ring.
Oh,
Second
okay.
thing, I mentioned that I thought Toy Freddy's plush was based off of Help Wanted's Toy Freddy model due to both of their colors being the same weird dark brown instead of actual Toy Freddy's light orange. And yeah, this was just wrong. I forgot that this plush was an exclusive for Wave 1 somehow, which existed way before Help Wanted did. So give that theory a flip-flop around, and that's the spice. Third thing, I guess I accidentally used bootleg and unofficial plushie images at multiple points. That's something some of you were saying, so oops, I guess. I'm not really knowledgeable on the intricacies of official versus unofficial Funko plushes.
Oh my god, Puppet Steve. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Again, so weird. It was, if you don't know, Puppet Steve was run by the irate gamer, which, man, that's a weird one.
They all just kind of look bad to me anyway, so don't really know the minor differences to tell them apart.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm sorry. And last thing, for Foxy, I left the hook out of his design, not really able to find a way to incorporate it in a manner that didn't look stoopy dum-dum to me. But for those of you that might want to see what it would look like, here's an edit at DonovanArtT drew and sent to me on Twitter. This is very cute. Go check them out. Anyways, enough of this intro stuff. Let's jam. I would obviously recommend that you watch part 1 first if you haven't
have done.
as I go over all the rules and guidelines I'm going by whilst designing these plushies. If you don't want to though, here's the rule list real quick before you watch. Also, because FNAF 2's enemy count has practically doubled overnight. Man, those little scampers breed like rabbits, don't they? I'm going to be splitting this game into 2 parts. I know, you might be bummed out that you've waited several months for the FNAF 2 game and you're only getting half of them for now. But I figured it would be better to do this instead of making y'all wait for even more several months. So here we go. Here's all of the characters from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 made into proper plushies, part 1.
Okay.
Up first, it's everybody's favorite gamer and comedy man, Toy Freddy.
Sex. No.
As I touched on in the last video, Funko's Toy Freddy is essentially just normal Freddy with a few addendums, which is kind of expected for a toy company. If you have a Freddy Fazbear and then a slightly different version of Freddy Fazbear, it makes the most sense economically to just reuse the base. Still don't get the completely wrong color though, that still boggles my mind.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. You'd think that they used the darker color for the original Freddy, though.
Render looking ass. Ours is going to look more like the actual design, of course. Toy Freddy has an overall chubbier appearance with a different head shape and rounder body. As well as this, he has a considerably different face, which will be applied to our design. And as is always our job, it seems, the colors will be corrected. So here's the motherfucker. I exaggerated his chubbiness a little bit, giving him a rounder body to really accentuate the difference in size and shape between him and regular Freddy.
Honestly, that is really adorable. I'd love to see that in an actual, like, a claw machine or something like that. And with him being so chubby, it's perfect claw fodder. Good, nice to get a, get a good grip on.
Also makes him look way more like a big, fat, cuddly teddy bear, which I love. I made his snout smaller and correctly shaped, as well as his other facial features, including his eyebrows, nose, eyes, and ears, which are actually smaller and thinner, just like Toy Freddy's. For all of the toys, we'll have these colored seam rings around the eyes, similar to how they look in-game. They started doing this later on with some of the other toys, Fun Times, and Rockstars, but not Toy Freddy for some reason. They really did just phone it in on this one, huh? I made sure to add all the other important details, like his unique tie, the 2 black buttons, the large red cheeks, and the slightly taller hat with a red stripe. And, of course, most importantly of all, he's rocking his correctly light orangey base color. Poor guy, was so dirty, just needed a bath. Used some Fazbear brand shampoo. Moist 80s carpet scented. And hey, there's a...
Honestly, it's one of those things, like... God, just looking at them, they look, honestly, unlike in the first video, like, these honestly look like they're 2 completely different characters. They're on, like, the same level as, like, Chica, only, arguably, these are both good-looking plushes, just this one doesn't look like Toy Freddy. But honestly, like, this one looks derpy, this one looks adorable, I absolutely love it.
Orangey base color. Poor guy, was so dirty, just needed a bath. Used some Fazbear brand shampoo. Moist 80s carpet scented. And hey, there's our first one complete. Up next...
Oh, okay. I was wondering if she was going to continue with the confetti gag from the first video. Let's see how this evolves.
We got little fucking Toy Bonnie.
Clear the stage, for the star of our show is the stage.
Toy Bonnie, in my mind, is kind of...
Honestly, like, again, with all the stuff going on with Toy Bonnie right now, with the fact that they actually, like, announced that Matt Pat is going to be voicing Toy Bonnie in the next FNAF movie. Which, I mean, the fact that they're actually going to be voiced, which, I mean, that's going to be awesome. And then they have... And on top of that, they've announced that Megan Fox is going to be voicing Toy Chica? Geez, they were just pandering to the fandom on that one, weren't they?
Kind of the poster child of FNAF 2. He was used in a lot of the teasers, is one of the first animatronics to become active, and has the most iconic design of the 3-stage toy animatronics, in my opinion at least. When I think of this game, he's what comes to mind for me, and I'm sure it's probably the same for a lot of you.
Which is funny, because he was like, him and Toy Freddy, like, apart from, like, when they kind of get memed on later on. Well, not even that, because, like, at least with Toy Freddy, he gets memed on later on about being, like, the gamer and stuff like that. But other than that, like, apart from, getting the voice and special delivery, Toy Bonnie basically was forgotten about for the most part afterwards.
Given his importance, it's great that Funko chose him to be one of the esteemed few to receive a plushed toy in their likeness. So, let's see him.
Yeah, Bug-eyed little freak.
Okay, now, despite this being one of the worst Funko plushies, I actually do like this little guy, just not for the reasons they intended. He's just so stupid looking, like, I can't help but fall in love with him.
Honestly, like, if it wasn't for the color, I'd almost say that, like, he was a plushie of that rabbit from Hoodwinked. Like, you know, the villain rabbit? I mean, almost. You can see it, right?
Just, why does he look like that? There's a lot of
Looks like a
issues to
drug
talk
dealer.
about here. There's his huge ping pong paddle ears, his weird far apart eyes, his little perpetually worried mouth, and his random super thick eyebrows for some reason. Overall, a pretty poor and inaccurate representation of old T-Bon, albeit weirdly adorable. So let's fix that up. First thing I want to mention, I gave him a different body shape from the rest, being rounder at the bottom, much like his model is. Damn, he's got a little bunny tail as well, which is a detail a lot of people forget his model actually has. And including me. I forgot to add that until later. For his ears, I made them both flopped over this time just to set him apart from his original self even more. And his face is now fixed up. Not a whole lot to say, just gave him a lot of tweaks that added together makes him feel more like Toy Bonnie. Probably the most important aspects are his appealing snout and mouth and larger eyes and pupils. Oh, and he's got little triangle flaps coming off of the eyes to act as his eyelashes, not whatever these tiny little things are. So there you go. Terrific little bunny we got there.
You know, it's very funny because, like, you look at these plushes and like, you look at, like, the designs they use for plushes sometimes, and it very much shows, like, how some designs work so much better in some mediums than others. Like, you look at this, like, you look at the original Toy Bonnie they have here, and from the front, yeah, it looks pretty okay, if not entirely accurate. It's not until you turn them to the side and you see how far out his eyes kind of, like, bulge out of his skull that he looks, like, really stupid.
Uh-oh.
Now, we got a chicken to fix.
She is such a bad bitch, though.
This one actually doesn't look that bad. I think it's a cute style and isn't poor quality in any regard. It's just not consistent with the rest at all. Like, why did they suddenly decide to give a plush a more stylized face and completely change the body and feet base when they haven't done the same for literally any other plush up to this point?
Because Toy Chica is special. The rest of the internet treats her as such, so why not the companies making the merch?
The puppet is still stuck with the exact same base shape as everyone else, and Toy Chica, for some reason, gets to be drastically different, even to a fault. Whatever, Funko, keep making no fucking sense, I guess. And, as I mentioned in part 1 in passing, she's the only Funko FNAF plush to have individual toes instead of the big teddy bear nubs, and the fact that this had to be Toy Chica out of all the possible characters to give this exclusive design detail to, doesn't bode well in regards to the intentions of the Funko employee responsible for this. For my design, I gave her all the features she would have if they had kept up the design consistency, with the same eyes, relative body shape, and lack of pedal digits. However, her body is slightly altered, being the same body Toy Bonnie has, but with the top portion made smaller to give her a similar silhouette to her model. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Her beak is pointier and more triangular than OG Chica. Her hair tufts are long individual flaps, which might need some wire inside or something to keep their shape. And her bib is the correct design. However, you may have noticed that there is a certain aspect of her appearance that is absent in this design. Her toy cupcake. Why does she not get one just like our first Chica? Well, that's because she gets something special, something arguably more important to her in-game appearance. Watch this. And bam, a magnetic removable beak, just like how she loses her beak in game.
Honestly, that is ingenious. Why has no other, like, that is, honestly, because that's literally, like, one of her main, and also I love the fact that, you know, she just has a single giant buck tooth. That's adorable. But, like, the fact, like, though, granted, so I keep having to flip-flop here, because I'm thinking, like, oh, we're, like, because I keep like envisioning these as, like, oh, in universe, you know, plushies that, you know, you'd sell in, like, in the arcade or something. So, like, in universe, I don't think it would make much sense to advertise, oh, hey, our robots are, like, can be taken apart at will by the customers. But at the same time, as, like, a real piece of merch like that, where you could actually, like, remove the beak, Like, honestly, like, if you, I mean, man, doing that with the eyes, too, that might be a little step too far, but honestly, like, so far with the removable beak, that is so cool. Why has no official plush actually done that?
Though, instead of a horrifying teethy nightmare hole, we have a cute little smile underneath. I would absolutely adore a plush with this feature. Like, look how cool that would be. And there you go, put her with the others.
Bad bitch.
So here's a quick one to get out of the way. For the toy cupcake, just pretend the blue walt I made under false pretenses for the last one had no teeth and was made for this video instead. There, a toy cupcake. No mistake at all was made. I am intelligent. So you're probably
Hey, I mean, it's always best to be prepared when you, and like the toy companies you were doing this for, if you can like design something and like try to reuse like 90% of it for an entirely new product, I mean, that works.
expecting Mangle here, but I'm actually saving them for the next video. I know. Hey, get the fuck away from me. But don't think you're missing out on any gender ambiguity for this video, because I'm going to be doing Funtime Foxy, aka Mangle's original form. I'll call them Toy Foxy because that actually makes fucking sense. Hold on, you know what? Let me level with you for a sec. You watching the video right now?
Yes.
Sitting there with your bag of goldfish and quivering inquisitive eyes.
Okay, no, but honestly, because like toy, that's funny that like Toy Foxy is like, it's barely really ever been a thing even in canon. It's kind of funny like that.
Dear viewer, can we both agree that calling this character right here, this character, Funtime Foxy, and then later down the line naming another completely separate character the exact
Funtime
same
Foxy,
name
yeah,
is stupid? This
it is stupid and so confusing. I honestly wish like Scott hadn't done that, because like, I guess like it kind of throws into the whole thing of the timeline where it's like, oh hey, you know, the Funtime animatronics and Baby and all that work at the same time somehow, but at the same time, like, they are so different in design. Why would you do that? Like, that's just making things difficult for the theorists, just for the sake of making things difficult.
untouched version of Mangle was never seen in the game physically, aside from this poster here and possibly one of the teasers leading up to the game. They also were never given a name. However, we all just kind of assumed their name would be Toy Foxy, aligning with the other three, so that's what I will continue to call them.
Yeah.
Don't care what this piece of shit has to say. Although we haven't seen them in a canonical in-game setting in full, we did get merch of them surprisingly. One figurine and one plushie. Why does it have a tongue? Why does it have a tuft of hair? Why does it have colored rings on the eyeballs themselves? And why are the eyelashes growing out of the pupils?
Oh god, I only just noticed that. Why? Oh god, that's freaky. Why would you do that?
This is some body horror right here. This is another terrible one that I actually kind of love. Like, how could you not be absolutely smitten with this face? Come on. Using Mangle's design, this poster, and the figurine, here's what I came up with. I used Toy Bonnie's body shape as they seem to be pretty similar. I created an all-new head and face more accurate to what it should look like, with a creased forehead, 2 longer fur spikes, longer, thinner ears, and a longer and uniquely shaped snout. Similar to our old Foxy, the lower jaw is exaggerated due to Mangle's jaw being quite large, and I gave it the same weird curvy shape. The nose is wider, more rectangular, and higher up on the snout, about in the middle, and some good old lipstick.
Honestly, yeah, the more I look at it, even in this plush form, like, Mangle is already really weirdly designed and stuff like that. But, like, the Toy Foxy, like, in an unwithered, unmangled state, is also just really weird and kind of unnerving to look at the more I think about it.
Which I think is what this weird tongue thing was supposed to be. I'm honestly not sure. For the eyes, I converted these gigantic, horrifying eye cavities into longer teardrop-shaped eye rings as to maintain the cuteness. To make the tie look like Mangle's, it's got some layered fabric pieces to give it that unique fanned look. And finally, we have the little cotton tail, which seems like an incorrect detail, but it's heavily implied that Toy Foxy would actually have this, not the long foxtail like the figurine has. Look, it's just right there on Mangle's model.
Oh.
Sure, you might say that it's simply a random animatronic part that was mixed up into Mangle's mess of put together limbs and wasn't on Toy Foxy's original body. And yeah, that could be true, but I think it makes more sense to base the design off of something we've actually seen in game rather than this out of place detail on the figurine.
Again, like, you look at the other, like, toy animatronics, and, like, they all look, you know, like, happy and inviting and stuff like that. Toy Foxy looks kind of scary now that I'm thinking about it.
Anyways, there they are.
Oh, they're about to blind me!
And now we get to tackle one of the worst of the Funko ass bunch, Balloon Boy.
Why didn't you come out?
You guys said
Man.
No.
I heard what he said, but it wasn't really clear what was.
If you thought Toy Chica was bad in terms of straying from the formula,
Yeah.
boy, do I have some bad news for you.
Oh.
This is just pretty much garbage all around. Almost everything about this is low quality. We have everyone's favorite crackly printed colors. Thankfully, it's only for the stripes though. His face is untouched in that realm, with sewn features like Chica's, but this time the drastically different style isn't even appealing. He's just ugly, man. They really did commit the cardinal sin of drawing out each individual tooth in a simplified cartoony adaptation of the character with a smile.
Oh, wait, what? Oh no. Oh, what is this? With an attractive smile. Now, the secret tip to drawing teeth, draw a finger instead. If you don't know what draw... That's right, just keep adding. Be careful, erase the tips of the... oh, God. Oh, why did that... Oh...
What is wrong with you, Funko? And geez, at least Toy Chica's was adjacent to the others in size and shape. This one is not even close. He's got this huge flat-looking boxy head and these thin spindly limbs hanging off. This icky body base is something that was started by the sister location wave, seen with Baby and Ballora, but in my opinion, it looks even worse here. This just looks like a dog toy to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
hey,
it
at
does.
least people won't be upset about me shitting on this one. I mean, it's Balloon Boy. That's a free pass if I've ever seen one. So let's force feed this little cretin with some the juice that turns you into a more appealing plushie juice. Oh, dang it. This one was surprisingly the most complex redesign I've done this far. There's a lot here, so I'll talk about just a few specific things worth mentioning. His face was made to be an appealing interpretation of his in-game look, with a mouth similar to the Toy Chica one we did. He's just a happy little fella. His hair and hat are thick plush parts coming off of his head, and his little propeller thingy is an actual rod with the propeller on top, instead of a recolor of Funko's Chica hair like they did with this one. Again, it'll probably need some plastic on the inside to keep it stiff and upright.
Honestly, the one thing I could see with this not working quite right is just, like, you see, like, the hat on here has, like, a thick brim that kind of, like, before it goes up to the top of the hat, like, I don't think that would quite work, where I think you'd most likely have to have it just be an even dome, as opposed to, like, this that has a more defined shape.
We have some thicker seams separating the shirt and arms, as well as the pants line. And we have some actual plastic buttons on him this time. The most ambitious addition, I think, are his props. The balloon to his right and the balloon sign in his left.
Honestly, the whole thing I'm learning from looking at this is that, honestly, the most work into putting that you had to put in to make, you know, this like a good looking plushie was on the character that would most likely get the least amount of sales.
These are firmly attached to his arms, sewn right through so they're stuck in there all secure and such. I thought about making these magnetic props like the cupcake that stick to the end of his arms, but I ultimately decided against it in favor of making them a permanent part of his form. The only time we've seen him without these props in his hands is in the vent in FNAF 2, which was later sort of retconned in FNAF Help Wanted, so I didn't want to make it needlessly complicated. As much as I'd like everything on the plushie to be plush material, realistically the sign would probably have to be plastic, so
yeah,
we'll
it
go
makes
with
the
that.
most sense.
The balloon, however, will still be squishable. So there, throw another one on the pile.
Honestly, that is literally just night and day. Like that, like I almost wouldn't believe that they were the same character.
And yay, it's time for some original plushies. Last time we only had one, but this time we have a whole 2. I promise there'll be more past this point. First is JJ. This little ankle biter is less of a character and more of a super rare PNG that can spawn under your desk and do absolutely nothing. All we see of her is some of her face, but in FNAF World we got to see a version of her in full form. Yeah, she's just a recolor of BB, so as you may have guessed, that's all we gotta do for this one. I removed her props though, because no one really knows what her purpose was in universe. I mean, her name certainly isn't giving any hints. Did she dispense something? Like, did she hand out, I don't know, candy? Maybe some Tylenol? Also, the in-game model
Balloon Boy's for the kids, JJ is for the grown-ups.
does not have eyelashes, but FNAF Worlds does. So here's an alt, because women be having eyelashes and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, finally, now we can market to gender norms. No more of this, oh my god. And our final plush for today, RWQFSFA Shadow Bonnie, also known as this keyboard spam, is another Easter egg similar to JJ, but has...
Wait, so okay. So I was wondering, because, like, I know this is going to be, like, 2 parts. This is part 1, then we got part 2 right over here. But I didn't think you were going to be getting into this territory. I thought this was going to be, like, part 2 territory. Okay. And again, just another recolor, though this time it's just Toy Bonnie, which I'd imagine you'd use, like, black and very dark grays, so you're not void creature.
Has more significance given that they've appeared a couple times in later games. Also, they can crash your game.exe fangame style too, so hey, that's neat. This is essentially just Toy Bonnie but black silhouette, so this is going to be another recolor. However, like Golden Freddy, I'm going to be changing a few decently significant things. Here's what I did. They have an open mouth this time, with more teeth than actual Toy Bonnie has, just like the Shadow's appearance in-game. Both ears are sticking straight up, again to mirror their in-game appearance, as well as to differ from the other 2 Bonnies. Their pupils are smaller, as well as being pure white, and a few details were removed to give them that odd, smooth, shadowy look. The insides of the ears, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the cheeks, and the snout freckles. And there we are, half of the little pizza gremlins from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. In the next one, we'll be covering all of the rest of them that I missed. Stay tuned for that, I say, with a crooked, devilish grin. Viewers beware, you're in for... Hey, once again, thank you so much for watching my scribbles and ramblings and stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as you did the last one, and I hope you'll stick around for all my other stuff. I really do enjoy making these. They're lots of fun, but they do take a bit of time.
I would imagine that's a lot of art.
I'm not doing videos full time, at least not yet. So these are mostly being worked on in my spare time. And these are videos with like a lot of artwork I have to make. So that kind of takes up a lot of time, and they're just longer form videos in general. So that's kind of why it's been a couple of months since my last video. I do want to make this clear as well, that I'm not planning on being a FNAF channel. I do love FNAF, it's very important to me, and I'll still be talking about it in this series, of course, and what other videos I decide to make. But it's most likely going to be a smaller portion of the content that I actually make in the long run. This is going to be my bigger media series that sort of runs in the background behind my usual content that I'll upload more consistently. This sort of thing will be a lot more sparse moving forward, so try to keep that in mind. If you haven't seen it, I posted a video about Sonic Music Easter eggs a little bit ago, so go check that out if that interests you. If you plan on staying just for the FNAF plushies, it's totally okay. I understand if the other stuff isn't really your cup of tea, but just know that it's not going to be my one and only focus or anything. I have a lot of other stuff planned, so please don't just like spam where's FNAF plushies and everything I post. That would be cool. I know that's a lot to ask of the internet, but might as well say it. If you want to see what I'm doing regularly and get updates, I'm very active on Twitter, so you can go follow me there. I'm also planning on possibly setting something up for you guys to support me if you wish. I don't have anything cemented yet, but...
Okay, that was nice, but also just, it was really short. I mean, granted. So, should I do the reaction to both in this? Because they're both about FNAF 2. Could easily just make both. Okay, you know what? I'll put a poll on the Discord. Let's see what people say. Hi, I'm back after maybe about 20 minutes, and I put up a bit of a question on my Discord server, and of the few people that have voted, both of them, agree that I should probably continue and do both parts of the FNAF 2 plushies in one reaction, so yeah, might as well. It's not like I have anything else to do today. So I'm going to be continuing on into the fixing even more Funko FNAF plushies FNAF 2. And yeah, everything I said at the beginning of the first video still applies here, so let's continue on then.
Hi. Since this is the third installment of the series, I'm just gonna get into this thing as quick as possible. First, I have a couple more comments on the last video to make, and then we can just get on with it.
Okay.
1, I love Pat Mac. He's like one of my favorite channels. Go check him out for real. 2, JJ's cheeks are purple because I used Ultimate Custom Nights model, as the existing renders are way better pieces of reference than just this. But what I didn't realize is this color was something that was changed specifically for this game. I think it looks better personally, but since this is a video about the original looks for each character, and I'm a sucker for accuracy there. 3, yes,
okay.
I know Shadow Bonnie is not supposed to be brown. It looks like this because I used the same black I use for literally every other plushie drawing, which is on the dark reddish browner side due to the warm color palette I use for pretty much all of my art.
I mean, I can very much see it just, you know, for it being a case purely because, you know, it's a drawing. If it was literally black, then it would just be a literal black silhouette and you wouldn't be able to see any of the actual detail of the drawing.
These were real plushies. Of course, they wouldn't be color picked directly from my art or anything. This is just my usual art style, and I use it for these because they're just visual concepts, and I go with the style I think looks nicer. But whatever, there's all of that out of the way. This is a continuation of the last video and a part of a larger series, so make sure you've watched both of the others. But if you don't want to, here's the guidelines I use for all these Funko FNAF plushie redesigns I'm cooking up. Cool. Now, let's finish up that pesky FNAF 2. For the past 2 installments of this epic saga, I've started with the redesigns and ended with the originals, but for this video, I felt it would make more sense to start with the versions of the main 4 we have left, despite them also being originals themselves. It felt better to continue that trend, I guess. And with that, here's where I'd say we reach our first major turning point when it comes to how difficult it is in adapting these designs to our plushie forms. We've had our first run-in with some whack-ass difficulty with Hendo 01, but with the amount of detail intricacy steadily increasing from here on out, we're now in the thick of it, gentlemen. Or at least the start of the thick of it. You know what I mean. With these guys, it's going to take a little more thought and care to keep that perfect balance between accuracy, decent realism in terms of being buildable, and cuteness appeal. And
I mean, you know, I can see the main flaw with these designs is the fact that they're supposed to look like, you know, they're withered and damaged, and unless you want to do like the whole thing that the actual ones did where they just have like patches of like jagged metal on them, or at least patches that look like jagged metal, that could kind of look kind of tacky. I'm pretty excited to see what she does, because so far, literally every single one of her plushies has looked like something that could physically be made, and I honestly want them to be real. Honestly, does she sell merch, and have they been actually made as merch?
And when looking at things like this, you can probably see why that
the problem is,
The first puzzle we encounter is, what are we going to do about all of those absolutely dreadful tears and holes, darling? Funko has certainly tried to tackle this design element before, but when I say tackle, I mean like more of a yanking at the back of the shirt while shyly looking away. Their main approach was to print these holes on as black jagged shapes with bits of endoskeleton printed inside, which is just legitimately awful and stupid and terrible and bad and stupid and awful. But when
I mean, I can see what they were going for, but still, you're not getting good grades because of it.
they're feeling a little more fancy, they stitch the shapes on instead, like on their Springtrap here. In both scenarios, it looks super cluttered and unappealing and just leaves them looking like someone scribbled all over them with a Sharpie or something. I can't really be too harsh on them for this particular issue, given that the only other two options were to literally put holes and tears in them, which obviously is a no-no, or just ignore this element completely. But the wear and tear is kind of an important design element to most of these guys, so that that wouldn't really fly either. So, instead of trying to make them actually look all ripped up in a direct and literal sense, we're going to invoke that feeling of being worn and torn in a more creative and thematically appropriate way. Since these are plush versions of these characters made of fabric and cloth, I thought it would be a neat idea to add these little fake sewn-on stitch lines here and there. This will give them that torn-up look, keeping the visual spirit of the Withers, while also making sense through the medium they're represented in.
As in their withered plushies. Oh, okay. I can see that. That's gonna be fun.
That being cute little plushies. Sort of like they've been ripped and torn at some point and someone stitched them back up.
Oh, that's going to be adorable.
Fashion. That's kind of the look I'm going for. Look at that, a creative solution to a difficult problem. Look at us go. I mean, I'm saying we and us to make you guys feel included. So kind of like the YouTube commentary equivalent of giving your little sibling an unplugged controller to make them think they're playing video games with you.
I mean, or else you could have also just said the royal we as well.
It's like that, hey, good job, buddy, you killed the fireman. Now that we've gotten that issue solved, we can start on the Withers, meaning our first lil dude of the hour is...
Finally, take the torso piece and lift it upward until... The
visual differences between this version of Freddy and the original are actually quite significant. He has a longer and rectangular head and face shape, with a smaller and cubier snout and larger lower jaw. This is my favorite version of Freddy personally, so I made sure to really capture the whole look the best I could. Along with this altered head shape, I gave him an opened mouth, much like how Golden Freddy was done.
And the doopy eyes that are like pointing in two different directions. Oh, that is absolutely adorable. Again, the little stitches like he's been damaged. Oh, that's adorable. Like honestly, the way you could even put that further is like actually like make patches, or you know, have patches on them, or you know, little square patches that repair them, quote unquote. But honestly, that is adorable. I love that.
Both reinforcing the broken down look as well as differentiating him from the OG even further. This is something I'll be doing for all the Withereds, in fact. As well as this, he gets some sewn dark rings around his eyes, which will also appear on the others, again to hammer in the old look they have. You may have noticed that his eyes are extra empty and manic looking, and what an astute observation. That's really intelligent of you, such a smart one you are. Now keep mashing A, okay? You gotta kill the Goombas for me. This is because I...
Don't talk down to me.
Based it on his office render, where he has that super buggy, milky look to his eyes. This is his most iconic appearance, at least in my opinion, so I decided to use it. Plus it makes him look extra silly and cute in a stuffed form, I think. Other details include his slightly taller top hat, his two buttons, the previously mentioned wither stitches, and an overall darker brown.
Okay, you know what? She says, like, oh, slightly taller top hat, and, like, each of these, and like, mentally, I always assume, like, oh, slightly taller than the last top hat we talked about. So, I can just keep imagining, as the series goes on, the top hats for each of the plushes is just going to get progressively taller for with each successive one, until you have, like, a plushie whose top hat is twice as tall as the plushie itself. Oh, that'd be so stupid. I love it.
Not by a whole lot, but subtly dark enough to, again, hammer in the old animatronic vibe. This slightly darker tone is something I'll do for all the Withereds, by the way. Mentioning that here so I don't have to repeat it every time. So yeah, Withered Freddy, first one down.
I like it.
So, as you can see, Withered Bonnie's main shtick is his missing face, and wowza, that makes for a bit of a difficulty bump there, doesn't it? Okay, so with the similarity in head shape, we can pretty much use Withered Freddy as a starting point, with some small tweaking of the cheeks and jaw size.
But you're also going to have the fact that he's missing one arm, so what are you going to have, like, the wires coming out of there, or what are you going to do?
And a little off the top. Here's what I got, and boy howdy is this one of the most difficult designs to stylistically adapt. It's really hard to make something like this look as cute as the others. He still looks a little on the creepier side, and honestly a little more than I'd like, but this is probably as close as it'll get without removing his important design aspects. Again, like, this dude's face is fucking
gone.
Missing. Like, Jesus. This functionally will be about half of Freddy's Bonnie's head taken off the front with a piece of flat cardboard or plastic on the inside covered in a bit of plush and black felt to act as a back wall of sorts. This will be sunken in a little, making the rim of the head protruding out. All of this combined should give the general appearance of a hollow head without actually being one. There's also, of course, a few threads hanging down on the inside of the face, just like the messy jungle of wires he's got in there.
Honestly, I can just imagine those being like literally just pieces of yarn or something like that, and that'd be just perfect.
His ears are opposite of OG Bonnie, in my attempt to give every version of him some ear flap variation. And I've now ran out of possible combinations for future Bonnies.
I mean, you have a future Bonnie where the ears are literally just flat down on his head, either forward or backwards, and kind of have them like folded halfway up. I mean, you have another. I mean, you have another, point of articulation here that you're not taking, into account here.
And a missing limb. Instead of just being completely removed, I kept a little lump still sewn on. I think it just looks nicer as a plush, as well as sort of mirroring how Withered Bonnie's shoulder part is still present. And of course, there are some hanging threads for the exposed wires. And hey, there's a plush for the Withered Bonnie fandom out there. You're welcome. Now pay up.
Oh shit, it's the birdie from Five Nights at Freddy's.
This is another one that took some thought to design, both in making her look non-threatening and making sure she would be structurally sound. On her model game, you can see that there's a huge gap separating the top and bottom halves of her head, with some wires being pretty much the only thing holding them together, which is not going to fly as a 3D object made of plush material. This is also arguably the most important part of her design, so getting this aspect right is going to be crucial.
I mean, I could very much see it where you have the head kind of split into two pieces, where you have the upper head and where it's kind of like all independent, and the lower head, which is just like, and the lower jaw, which is sewn into the body, and then you have it connected by just two like plastic rods that act as like the supports, like it does in her mouth. Like, I wonder, is that going to work?
Here's my design. Now, it probably looks from the front like these two halves are completely separated, but that's because these sewn-on wire parts are covering how the mouth is actually put together. Once again, there's going to need to be some plastic or cardboard on the inside to form the rigid structure of the mouth, so most of the head will probably have to end up being a little more on the solid and hard side, unfortunately. And like I said, these wire threads will be sewn over the sides of the mouth, making it look more model accurate, as goofy and funny looking as it would be without. Oh my gosh, that's a winning smile.
Honestly, it's like I just think of like pizza. Just looking at that, I can't be mad at that. That's adorable.
The beak is a different shape than the original one, as well as being two parts on the top and bottom jaws of the mouth. The arms are cut off at about halfway instead of all the way like Bonnie. The feet have these orange parts on them, and all the other little details making her look more like this iteration of the character that I don't really need to specifically call out. And there she is. Fun fact, Withered Chica is actually my favorite animatronic design from the whole franchise. She's completely, objectively the best one, so.
Okay, so now we're just including YouTube poops in these? Okay.
Okay, this one wasn't as difficult an adaptation as the last two. There's nothing in particular to note first, so I'll just show it and swoosh right in. So, like the other three, this Foxy has an open jaw to differentiate him from the original. And in this case, this means he gets to show off his gnarly little chompers. Youch. Along with his overall wider face, he's got a wider and curvier snout and a big ol' lower triangular jaw protruding out. Also, just thought I'd point out that upon finishing this, I realized he kind of ended up looking like that one weasel from the third Ice Age movie. I just thought that was funny. For his exposed endoskeleton ear and a bit of metal showing on his head, I decided to use some fake stitches coming off the eye ring to section off a little patch of fabric around the ear, having it all be gray inside. This is supposed to make it kind of look like the plush has lost its ear and it had to be replaced and stitched on with different fabric, yet again evoking that withered appearance while
again, Biz, granted, I know this video is several years old, so you've moved on and it's an entire series, but honestly, every single one of these is so good. I am upset that I've never seen any, actual plushies that are of this quality before.
adding to the cute stuffed toy look. For the stitches on his body, I made them a bit longer and more plentiful, given that Foxy is more busted up than the other Wizards.
Yeah.
Poor guy. And there's a bunch of other fun little details. The little cartoony rips in his shorts, the gray legs to act as the exposed endoskeleton, the two singular fur tuft
Points,
spikes like Toy Foxy, but a little more exaggerated this time, and the slightly different hair tuft. And hey, another one completed.
Stop staring at me with that big old eye.
Hey, is that a recolor I smell? Well, almost. Unlike FNAF 1, this version of Golden Freddy actually has a few changes to his base model. For this one, I once again made his head slightly cocked to the side, this time in the other direction. His ear was removed, replaced with a little black dot and some threads, as well as a few coming out of his eye. I moved around the body stitches to make him look a little more different. And done. Now go snuggle up with this soulless husk, you freak.
I mean, alternatively, another way you could have done this is that, you know, given that, you know, Golden Freddy in-game appears as just a giant head in the hallway, you could have just made it so that this version of Golden Freddy is literally just a giant head. That's just the entire thing.
Okay, wait.
All right.
Now we get to be lazy. Shadow Freddy gets a dark purple color, some white eyes like Shadow Bonnie, and done. I'm done. I turned it in. It's on time. I hit send.
I mean, it works.
I'm not going to be
Furbies are already creepy enough. Why would you do that?
super long-winded about this one. There's nothing major in need of an explanation here, really. He's just a slightly more advanced version of the other robotic endoskeleton. Or less advanced, chronologically.
Well, okay, so the way I've always thought of that was, like, again, the location we see in FNAF 1 is a massively stripped back version of the location. So I could very much see it all. So I can very much see this being, while it takes place chronologically after, they're, like, skimping out a lot on technology, so they're using less advanced endoskeletons, where in the past they actually used more advanced ones because they could actually afford it.
I guess. Wait, how did these guys' ears move if there wasn't any didn't have any but I'll give you the quick Spark Notes version.
Aww.
The head and face shape is altered, being a little bit slimmer with bigger eyes and a bigger mouth. Of course, we have the ears this time, the same one that we used for Withered Foxy. The T-shape on the chest has been upgraded to a more skeleton-y looking shape like the model. There's these ball parts that the legs are connected to this time, like the ball hip joints he's got. And we have this thin plush part replacing the neck orb on the other end, which again would hopefully give it some support if this was a real thing. Also, a shit ton of weighted beads in the bottom of this guy like last time, so this fucker don't fall. No more mama. right. Hey, wow, we're done with the originals now.
Wait, how many? Okay, yeah, so I imagine we still, the puppet, Mangle, yeah, so that's gonna be fun. And an entire outro, yeah, again, like, honestly, the quality of these, like, I'm honestly, and again, like, with the whole endo thing, like, I'm honestly surprised that nobody's ever figured out a way of making an actual endo plush, because I don't think I've ever actually seen an actual endo plush before. Out of, like, all of the different, like, recolors and different versions and just, you know, neon flavored versions of characters, they've never done one of an endoskeleton before. Like, that's honestly a little shocking.
It's a whole 8 characters from this game alone that Funko was never even bothered to make. But we're not done though. We have 2 characters remaining that have existing Funko plushies that need fixed. Like, really need fixed badly.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
I've made a couple of jabs at this latex mask-wearing asshole already. The main issue is that no accommodations were made at all for their drastically different shape. All they did was just paste all their features on the regular body type. Kind of reminds me of that genre of vinyl collectibles that were popular for some reason in the 2010s, like those Disney Vinylmation ones with the gimmick of having pretty much all the exact same body template, meaning the designers were rarely ever allowed to deviate from it. Or
God, you know, the more I think about it, have vinyl figurines... The more I think about it, the more I realize vinyl figurines have not been just a thing that, you know, Funko has made. They've been a thing for a while. Why specifically?
resulting in some horribly ugly looking things.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck? So, in order to make an appealing puppet plush that shape also generally fits in with the others, we'll have to do a similar thing to the endos, stylistically apply the character's most prominent features onto the general body shape, subtly changing it enough to make it work so it feels like a part of the same plushie series while still representing the character. After a bit of work, I came out with the...
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was going to say, because, like, the whole thing about the puppet is that, you know, one of the main, you know, defining features of it physically is the fact that it's so tall and skinny.
Yes. The body is similar to the endos, but more rounded, simplifying the weird curvy body shape the puppet... I need to stop describing these characters as curvy. The puppet's long limbs sort of end in points like tentacles, so I made these limbs do a similar thing. Like the endos, they're thinner versions of the regular arms and legs, but instead of ending in a thick, rounded part, they curve in and get a little smaller at the end. Sort of the whole chunky Mega Man style limb thing, which, by the way, is like an amazing design trope. If your character has that, they're instantly elevated, in my opinion. Now, I know what some of you might say. Ty, why the hell did you add fingers when you criticized the toy Chica plush for having toes? Well, out of all of the characters with fingers, which is like pretty much all of them, the puppet is one of the only few where the long fingers are a significant aspect of the design. They're exaggerated in such a way that I'd say it makes complete sense to include them.
How long has FNAF been a thing? It's been over a decade at this point. I only now just noticed that the puppet only has 3 fingers.
In a simplified manner, of course, which is what I did here, little stubby fingers. For the head, it's sort of an alien-esque, I guess you could say, balloon shape, simplifying the model's head silhouette. We also have some flat black eyes with a cute smiley black mouth similar to Balloon Boy's, all forming a cutesy version of the creepy-ass puppet face. And yeah, including the stripes, buttons, cheeks, tear lines, etc.
It works,
pretty much
it really does.
Fill his ass and legs with some weighted beads so we'll sit up, and there we go, the puppet. Okay.
Honestly, again, just looking at it, again, like, that is just such a drastic improvement over the real thing. And I'm just curious what's going to be done with Mangle, because I know the real Mangle plush is basically just a recolored Foxy, but with how Mangle is in the game, you know, with how's that going to translate? How's that going to work?
Okay, we've finally reached the end. Time to finally satisfy all the gay people out there.
Mangle is William Afton's first successful experiment with estrogen.
You know what? I'm not even gonna waste my breath on this one. You'll get why this is absolute shit, right?
Bad.
Okay, cool. So what on God's green earth are we going to do with this? Similar to everything we've done before, we're going to have to simplify this body to hell and back, as well as generally take some creative liberties to invoke that feeling of Mangle without being one-to-one. Going into this, I wanted to capture the animal-esque quality that Mangle has, meaning they're not going to be sitting up like the others in bipedal fashion. So, as you can see, the base body is a rectangular cube shape.
Okay, I was going to wonder, like, are you just going to have the body be like a ball or something? No, cube. Oh, I guess that is one way of, like, of simplifying Mangle's body plan. Just cute. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
Reminiscent of the endos, with sewn-on lines to mirror the skeleton-esque shape. The head is an altered version of our toy Foxy, of course, this time with an open mouth, a flat black eye hole with a white pupil, and a few wire threads hanging off the back of the head. This head is a smaller version of the regular one, both to maintain the general plushie size consistency with the different body orientation this one has, and because this one has a neck this time, and some less weight would probably be ideal. This will be a very thick and relatively short one, making the head stick out of the body whilst also being able to support it well. Again, we'll need some rigid plastic support on the inside. As well as the main head, we have the little cutesy-dootsy conjoined endo friend. Just a little plush cube head with one eye and all the other aspects of the endo head simplified.
This goes into the square hole. No, I'm sorry. I can't get past the whole just make it square. I love it.
I gave Mangle 3 limbs and some wires where you'd expect the 4th one to be. Mangle seems to stand on an odd amount of legs most of the time, so I thought it made sense. These limbs, of course, are 2 of Toy Foxy's chubby limbs and 1 of Endo's thin limbs to mirror Mangle's mix of bare metal and regular legs. And again, this will have weight beads and spots to keep it balanced so the head doesn't pull it downwards all the time. Kind of a given, don't want Mangle to eat shit. And wow, we're finally done with this Smash Bros. Roster of a roster. So that brings our total number of completed fixed FNAF Funko plushie concepts to a nice clean 25. I'm amazed.
And given that this is only the 2nd game in the series, God, this is going to be nuts, isn't it? Wait, actually, let me just pause. How big is how many videos are in the playlist? I thought I saw it was like 10 or something. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be fun to watch through.
Is that I was able to get this far, honestly. There's some pretty whack-ass designs to wrangle up, but thankfully I was able to produce some designs I like and would actually love to own as real plushies. But
no, yeah, I definitely too.
Crazier from here as these creepy whack-ass designs to wrangle up, but thankfully I was able to produce some designs I like and would actually love to own as real plushies. But it'll only get crazier from here as these creepypasta furries get dirtier, more fucked up, more edgy and teeth-ridden, and overall just fucking stupider looking, if I'm being honest. I'm like,
oh God, the nightmares. Oh, are there going to be more stitch marks on them? But that's going to still be a lot of teeth. Ooh.
I'm not gonna lie to you. So next time I come back to make some more, we'll see how that goes. See you in 2026. Hey, so before I do my whole outro and all that, I just wanted to quickly tell you that I made a Patreon. If you guys are interested in financially supporting me directly whilst getting all sorts of cool goodies in the process, then hey, what a perfect thing for you. For a minimum amount of a couple bucks a month, you can get access to join the official Bizabizow Discord server, where you can hang out, talk about Freddy Fazbear, all that junk. The server also contains other neat stuff like full resolution downloads of the artwork I make for these videos, behind the scenes stuff, polls, sneak peeks, all sorts of craziness. Go check that out if it interests you. The link is in the description. If you're unable or not interested, that's completely okay, by the way. Please don't put yourself in financial instability or feel bad if you just aren't interested. But it's there if you'd like to support me, because every bit helps me a lot and is vastly appreciated. And speak of the devil, here are my...
Oh God, honestly, again, like as I said with the FNAF 1 video, like every single one of these is such a good design. I honestly want some of these as real plushies. If I had the money, I would legitimately buy some of these. Ah, after all the work that's been put into it, like I'm upset that, you know, Biz hasn't actually like set these up as like actual phiscal plushies you can buy. I mean, granted, I know there's the rights thing, but at the same time, I know like Dawko has like makes like official FNAF plushies that he sells as merch, like their hex plushies or whatever they're called. Like I'm certain you could work something out with Scott. He seems like, you know, he seems like the guy that's the kind of guy that's willing to work with stuff like this. Oh, but yeah, that's definitely going to be it for now. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.